Hello, student. Our today's practical is gastrointestinal tract. Myself, Dr. Suresh Padsala. In gastrointestinal tract, we include enteric fever intestine or typhoid intestine, tuberculous intestine, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, peptic ulcer stomach, CA stomach, adenocarcinoma of colon, acute appendicitis, Meckel's diverticulum, and lastly stomach trichobasal. And in histopathological slide, tuberculous intestinal adenocarcinoma of colon, acute appendicitis and pleomorphic adenoma. First of all, intestinal changes due to enteric fever or typhoid intestine, in which gross examination, here there is a piece of small intestine shows multiple mucosal ulcer distributed in longitudinal diameter of the intestinal. See here there is a multiple ulcer over the longitudinal diameter of the intestine. The intestinal wall is markedly thinned out. The mucous membrane over the Peyer's page is necrosed and it faces slough of producing an oval ulcer appearance. See here there is a thinning of the intestinal layer, or here there is a longitudinal typhoid intestinal ulcer due to enteric fever or typhoid intestine. Now here there is a microscopic examination in which section shows ulcerated mucosa and infiltration by inflammatory infiltrate, predominantly mononuclear cells and macrophage. See here there is a ulcerated mucosal layer and here there is a inflammatory infiltration, mostly mononuclear cells or lymphocytes and macrophage. Now second one is tuberculous intestine. Intestinal TB occurs in three forms, either primary or secondary or hyperplastic. Secondary tuberculosis of small intestine is most common. In gross examination, the intestinal show large ulcer which are transverse to the long axis of the bowel. These ulcers may be coated with caseous material. In advanced cases shows transverse fibrous stricture and intestinal obstruction. While in microscopic examination, the presence of caseating granuloma in all the layers of intestine and ulceration of mucosa with sloughing on the surface and variable fibrosis in the muscular layer. See here there is a gross examination of the tuberculous intestine where there is a transverse ulcer or stricture of the intestinal lumen. Okay. So while in typhoid ulcer there is a longitudinal in diameter, while in tuberculous here there is a transverse ulcer. Now in microscopic examination there is features of the tuberculosis. Mostly there is in center caseating necrosis which is surrounded by the lymphocyte, plasma cell and Langerhans type of giant cell which is further surrounded by fibrosis. So and Langerhans giant cell are multinucleated cell with horseshoe shaped arranged nuclei ring in moderate amount of eosinophilic cytoplasm. Now Crohn's disease. In gross examination of the Crohn's intestine shows cobblestone like appearance with loss of rugosity. See here there is this lesion of the Crohn's disease intestine in which cobblestone like appearance of the intestine. The lower portion is very much thickened with complete obliteration of the lumen and the upper portion shows thinning of the intestinal wall here. And in microscopic examination there is inflammatory infiltrate of the mucosa and submucosa and irregular villi. Here there is an irregular villi and here there is an inflammatory infiltrate into the mucosa and submucosal layer. And the section also shows granuloma formation consisting of epithelioid cells with giant cells without necrosis. Here there is a Crohn's granuloma where there is absence of the necrosis but epithelioid cells and giant cells is present. Now ulcerative colitis. In gross examination the intestine show multiple ulcer over mucous membrane involving all the colon. See here there is a multiple ulcers involving all the colon. And in microscopic examination Section shows distortion of the crypt architecture, inflammation of crypt or cryptitis, frank crypt abscess, hemorrhage, and inflammatory cell in the lamina propria, predominantly lymphocytes. See here there is a distortion of the crypt architectures and there is an inflammatory infiltrate in all the layer of the mucosa. See here there is an inflammatory infiltrate, while here there is a crypt abscess, while here there is a superficial ulceration. So these all are lesion of the ulcerative colitis, histopathological changes. Now difference between Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. In Crohn's disease, there is course is prolonged with transmural thickening, most commonly ileum and ascending column, and bleeding is unusual. Skip lesion is seen and perianal involvement is common. Fistula is common and rectal involvement is less and diarrhea is less. While in ulcerative colitis, exacerbation and remission with mucosal ulceration, rectum bleeding is common, while no skip lesion and perianal involvement is also rare. Fistula is rare, while rectal involvement and diarrhea is common. Here there is a microscopic finding of Crohn's disease versus ulcerative colitis. Here there is a granuloma formation, non-caseating granuloma of Crohn's disease, while there is a crypt abscess, cryptitis in ulcerative colitis. Now esophagus. Most common lesion is squamous cell carcinoma and next is adenocarcinoma. And most common etiological factor of adenocarcinoma of esophagus is Barrett's esophagus. Here there is a development of the carcinoma. First of all, there is a normal squamous epithelium, while there is a chronic esophagitis which develop Barrett's esophagus, squamous metaplasia, and then dysplasia, and lastly there is development of the esophageal carcinoma. Now peptic ulcer. Most common predisposing factor for peptic ulcer is Helicobacter pylori, and other is hereditary, psychological factor, smoking, ulcerogenic drug, increased intake of caffeine, soda, irregular diet, and ZD syndrome. Peptic ulcer implies acid cause or aggravation, while in erosion, muscularis mucosa is intact. Peptic ulcer is chronic and solitary in adults and 80% in cases due to H. pylori infection and or due to NSAIDs and stress. Okay. Here there is a gross examination of peptic ulcer. Now, in peptic ulcer, there is perforated ulcer on lesser curvature and posterior wall in pyloric antrum with punched out margin. See, this is a peptic ulcer, lesser curvature of the stomach and punched out margin. There is loss of rugosity of mucosa on the most of inner surface. The surrounding mucosa and submucosa, especially in lower part of ulcer, is thickened due to fibrosis. Here there is a thickened area due to fibrosis. Now in microscopic examination, here there is a normal stomach mucosa, intestinal, while here there is a ulceration or there is an inflammatory infiltrate due to chronic irritation, NSAID, H. pylori infection. So this is a histopathological slide of peptic ulcer, in which sharply demarcated ulcer in the center with normal gastric mucosa on the left, falling away into the deep ulcer whose base contains inflamed necrotic debris and hemorrhage on right side. Okay. See here again there is a peptic ulcer. See, this one is a ulcerated mucosa, and here there is a superficial exudative zone. Here there is a zone of cicatrization, and here there is an intact mucosa and granulation tissue with congested blood vessels. Now difference between peptic ulcer and duodenal ulcer and gastric ulcer. Duodenal ulcer most commonly occurring to 30 to 60 years and male in 80% in duodenal bulb, and due to hypersecretion of the HCl and weight gain. And in clinical symptom, burning, aching with vomiting is uncommon, bleeding is less common, malignancy is rare, while complication mostly perforation. In duodenal ulcer, while in gastric ulcer, age is more than 50 years and male and female equally affected, and most common site antrum with normal HCl, weight loss, burning and aching pain, vomiting is common, bleeding is more likely, malignancy is common, complication is gastric carcinoma and hemorrhage. Now carcinoma stomach. First of all, gastric tumor classification in benign tumor, polyp, leiomyomas and lipomas, while in malignant adenocarcinoma, lymphoma, while in potential malignant GIST, gastrointestinal stromal tumor and neuroendocrine tumor or carcinoids. See, the stomach shows fungating tumor arising a broad base from the lesser curvature of the stomach. See, this tumor fungating mass lobulated from the stomach. There is central superficial ulceration of the tumor mass. The surrounding mucosa appears somewhat flattened, suggestive of chronic gastritis or submucosal infiltration by tumor. The serosa of the stomach appears normal. So this is a gastric carcinoma, fungating lobulated protruded mass over the wall of the stomach. See, here there is a microscopic finding. Here there is a normal intestinal mucosa, while here there is a adenocarcinoma, where there is a more irregular crowded gland with hyperchromasia, with high NC ratio, prominent nucleoli, all the features of the malignancy is there. The tumor cells arranged in irregular tubular structure with stratification, multiple lumen surrounded by reduced stroma. See, here there is a malignant glands. See, there is a high NC ratio with irregular and overcrowded glands with cytological atypia with high NC ratio. See, here adenocarcinoma growth pattern. First is exophytic. So this is a beginning, and while there is an advanced stage. Then second one is flat or depressed growth or linitis plastica or leather bottle stomach. And third one is excavated. So this is the adenocarcinoma growth pattern. Here there is a linitis plastica, is the most spectacular and most feared of all gastric adenocarcinoma. It grows diffusely through all layers of the stomach, greatly thickening its wall and giving stomach a classical leather bottle appearance. So here there is a thickening of the stomach wall, and here there is a malignant cells with prominent nucleoli, abnormal mitotic activities, INC ratio. Now mucinous adenocarcinoma, in which there is a mucin pool is present over the tumor. Signet ring cells are poorly differentiated adenocarcinoma and are often seen with linitis plastica. Okay, so these all are signet ring cells, where there is a pool of mucin in the cells and peripherally post nucleus. Now adenocarcinoma of small intestine. See, here there is a gross examination of small intestine showing polypoid growth and wall thickening. See, there is wall thickening, and here there is a growth of small intestine. Here there is again malignant adenocarcinoma, where there is a more crowded gland, irregular glands with cytological atypia, abnormal mitotic activity, INC ratio, etc. Adenocarcinoma of large intestine. Here there is a large bowel where there is a polypoidal mass. Tumor is greyish white in color, and areas of hemorrhage and necrosis is also present. See, again there is a large bowel mass, adenocarcinoma. See, here there is a nodular fungating polypoidal growth on the right side of the adenocarcinoma. Here there is a well differentiated adenocarcinoma. This one is abnormal mitotic activities. Here there is an irregular crowded gland with high NC ratio, pleomorphism. See, this is a malignant cells, and these all are pool of mucinous adenocarcinoma, and these all are signet ring cells. Here again there is a malignant glands, and there is a mucin. Now acute appendicitis. Acute appendicitis is most commonly due to obstruction by fecalith and other predisposing factors is kinking of appendix, inflammation and neoplasm. Appendicitis is inflammation of the vermiform appendix. See here there is a gross examination of appendix, shows congestion and edema. See this is a gross examination of the appendix. This one is periappendicular fat. Here there is a microscopic finding of in which acute inflammatory infiltrate, which is not localized to the mucosa only but extend into muscularis propria. See here the muscularis layer is also inflammatory infiltrate. Then and then it is known as acute appendicitis. See here there is early appendicitis, neutrophils in the mucosa and submucosa, but need neutrophils in the muscularis to confirm the diagnosis of the acute appendicitis. See here there is a neutrophilic infiltration in the muscularis layer, then it is the confirmed acute appendicitis. Here there is a congested blood vessels, necrotic mucosa. See, this is muscular layer where there is an inflammatory infiltrate, mostly neutrophils. This is known as acute appendicitis. Now Meckel's diverticulum. Meckel's diverticulum is a true diverticuli lined by mucosa and communicates with the lumen. It includes all the three layers of the bowel wall. Most commonly occurs in ileum, and in microscopically a well differentiated adenocarcinoma of large intestine is seen here. In complication there is a peptic ulcer and intestinal obstruction. See, this specimen consists of piece of small intestine, shows mesenteric border at one side and Meckel's diverticulum on antimesenteric border. Diverticuli is black due to gangrenous changes. So, this is a Meckel's diverticulum. Here there is an intestinal part. This one is true diverticulum. Here there is a microscopic examination. Shows wall of the diverticulum contains both the mucosal and submucosal layer of the wall of the body. So here there is a submucosal layer. Here there is a mucosa, and this is a part of the diverticulum. So got three layers and true diverticulum. Both mucosa and submucosal layer is there. Furthermore, excessive straining associated with the formation of the diverticulum may result in muscular hypertrophy of the muscularis externa near the opening of the diverticulum. Now, stomach lesion trichobasal, most commonly due to hair gall, and non-food material in psychiatric patient is pins, nails, razor blades, coins, clothes, leather wallets. Here there is a gross examination in which mounted specimen consists of hair ball removed from the stomach, which correlate with the shape of the stomach and first part of the duodenum. And it is a mass of undigested air within the gastrointestinal tract. Reason for formation in the stomach is that air is undigestible, and due to its smooth nature, it forms vessel within the stomach. This vessel can extend distally from the stomach into the cecum. And trichobasal are often associated with the air pooling and air swallowing. See, a large obstructive vessel usually takes on the shape and contour of the stomach. Now pleomorphic adenoma. It is a benign mixed tumor. It is the most common tumor of the salivary gland parotid. derived from the epithelial cells and myoepithelial cells and the designated as pleomorphic adenoma. In gross examination, the tumor is well circumscribed, pseudo-encapsulated, rounded, multilobulated, firm mass, mostly 2 to 5 cm in diameter, and in cut surface, it is greyish, white and bluish, variegate with soft to mucoid consistency. See, this is a pleomorphic adenoma. Gross examination, lobulated mass arise from myoepithelial and epithelial components. Here there is a microscopic examination. Epithelial component is made up of various patterns like duct, acinite, tubules, seeds and strands of ductal or myoepithelial origin. These ductal cells are cuboidal or columnar, while myoepithelial cells are spindles. So these all are ductal epithelial component, and these all are myoepithelial component. Mesenchymal component is made up of cartilage and myxoid stroma. So this is the cartilaginous and myxoid stroma of pleomorphic adenoma of salivary gland. See, this is a epithelial and myoepithelial component.